When we had our last fight, words were said out of line. They were your words, not mine. Do you ever look back and think about all the things you could have said? Replay them over again inside your head. This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of all we would have done in the past. This is the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Hi everyone, it's your old pal Satan here to tell you about the new show debuting here on the Chatter Network. The Silver Screams Podcast is a show where three horror movie buffs watch horror movies and then talk about them. Join them as they ingest, analyze, and regurgitate all of the tastiest bits of spooky cinematography. You can catch the show every Friday wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So grab a seat in the dungeon and just make sure you let the Wolfman out at some point or else he's gonna tinkle on my new Persian rug. Stay spooky, Scream Team.
This is the Revisionary Podcast. Stories of all we
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And I'm your host, Juan Carlos. So, if this is the first time listening to the podcast, the way this works is we bring on guests, usually comedians, who tell a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, I give them an opportunity to retell the same exact story, but the second time they can change any facts or details that they would like about the story. So I like to think of it as like a story with a twist. You know, like a nice zesty lemony twist, you know, kind of like what you see in those like soda commercials. You know, it's like, you know, you're like, crack a can of soda and you know what, never mind. All right. So now that I'm done being weird, let me tell you this. I'm really excited for today's episode. So this week we actually have Kendra Dawsey joining us on the episode, and Kendra and I actually go a little bit back. It's a cool story. I used to perform at this place. There's a comedian in New York. His name is Frank Pellegrino, and he used to run this little room in New Rochelle. It was an awesome little spot. It escapes me what the name of the bar was, but it was a nice little room. I really enjoyed doing it. And I actually met Kendra because one of the nights that I was performing in there, she was actually hosting the show. So, you know, we hosted it, we get on, you know, we're talking or whatever, we're chatting. And here, sometimes, you know, I'll admit, sometimes I'm a little tone deaf, and this is one of those. Maybe I should revise the story, but here's what happened. She's telling me about the show she runs up in Connecticut. And I'm just like, hey, can I do the show? And she goes, yeah, so this show's only for women. And I felt like an idiot. Because had I been listening, I would have picked up through context clues that she was running a show for female comedians only. But nope, I was just in such a rush to try to get a spot on a show that I was just like, hey, can I do your show? Can I do your show? So, yeah, that's how that happened. And that was a little embarrassing for me. But you know what? We've moved past it. She's a wonderful human, and I'm excited to get her on the line. So why don't I go ahead and see if I can get her on the line? Hello, Kendra. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal. Welcome to the Revisionary Podcast. You're here.
Thank you for having me. This is really cool.
No, thank you for coming. I'm honestly excited that we finally got an opportunity to connect. You know, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, sorry, there's just stuff happening all the time.
Listen, don't ever apologize for being successful. That's first and foremost. We're not doing that out here.
That, you know what, you're right. I will not apologize for being successful. Yeah, well, it's also, so obviously I do comedy on the, you know, as it's a career I'm trying to go towards. But right now I do have a day job, and my day job is in public health and kind of like assistance, which there's a lot of because we're in a pandemonium. So for work, I often do have to just let people know and like deal with school. It's reopenings. It's a mess.
So this conversation is not a HIPAA violation, is it? I just want to make sure.
Oh, no. I'm not. I don't work with patients.
Okay.
I won't talk about my job. I don't work with patients, so I can, but I won't.
I don't know. You said sciencey stuff, and I was like, oh, she must be a brain surgeon. That's what she is.
No. Oh no, it's like public health. It's like, oh, this is how you eat well and like don't do drugs. I don't like save people. Don't do anything important.
I mean, it sounds like you're saving them long term. I'm just saying.
I have like helped give them food when the pandemic first started. But yeah.
Got it. So how did you get into comedy? Like, how'd you get here?
Yeah, so I did comedy a little bit in undergrad, but I did sketch comedy. And then I wanted to try it again after I was fired from a job. And I was like, oh, I've been fired. Let me try comedy again. And I decided to stand up because I didn't know that many other people were doing comedy. And first, you need friends, right? Like if you don't have a lot of friends, it's harder to do sketch comedy. It's
right.
One person play. So yeah, I started doing stand up, and that was almost 4 years ago. So like when it comes to comedy, I'm relatively new, but I started in Connecticut and did a lot of stuff around there. And now I live in the Boston area. So I'm just trying my best, trying to keep going with it as much as I could.
Wait, did you say 4 years ago?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. So what have you been working on?
I have a Twitch show called Left Night on 2MB Studios. That's Thursdays at 7:30 Eastern time. It's me and my co-host, Zach Jones, and we make fun of politics. That's the goal. I also have a podcast, which isn't like quite comedy. It's called Not Another White Man's Podcast. It's like more getting into like history of like social issues and stuff. And that usually comes out on Mondays. And then I do shows occasionally here and there. Oh, I have another show. It is called Showing Up, and that is once a month also at 2MB Studios, which is a Twitch channel. You can look at all the shows there. But yeah, just trying to hustle, do my best.
So just to clarify, for those that are just listening to us and I can't actually see you, are you not another white man?
I am not a white man. I don't think I sound like one, but some people do think I sound white. I'm not white. I am not a man. I am a Black woman. I do realize not everyone can see the video. If you search Kendra Dawsey online, even the ones that aren't me are still Black women. So it's not a name that a lot of white guys have. If they do have it, their parents were very mean.
No, I mean, I'm just joking. I just want to make sure this is an inclusive environment for all the revisionaries out there, you know?
Yes. I have proof that I'm not a white person. I do not need to show you my family tree. You could just...
Nope. I just so we're clear, in case you're listening out there, I am in no way, shape, or form questioning her racial identity. That is not what is going on here. Okay.
I'm not trying to do a Rachel DeLazel. Don't worry. It's
trying to get me canceled here. Damn.
No one will be canceled. It is okay.
I see what happens. You just want to be the next host of the Visionary podcast. I get it.
No, I don't. I'm not trying to do like a sneak attack.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just letting people know. Not a Rachel DeLazel situation.
No, that's perfectly fine. Oh man. So why don't we just jump right into this, because I'm excited to have you here. Kendra, the stage is yours. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Right. Here's my story. So it begins June 2015, I believe. I have come back from a year abroad in India, and I moved to New Haven, Connecticut. I moved in with the person I was dating at the time. This was like we had just finished our second year of dating. We moved in together. It was great, blah, blah, blah. And I fill out I go to the DMV and I basically like fill out, the information like, okay, here's the title of my car. Here's where I live, blah, blah, blah. That seems unrelated, but will come up later. Right. So fast forward to August 2016, I am out of that relationship and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to hoe, or when you edit that for the PG version, I'm going to like date around. Right.
Now you can say hoe around. It's fine.
Oh, I can say hoe. Okay. I was like, I'm going to try to hoe. It was 2016. It was the summer. I'm like, okay, like short skirts, like this is like catcalling, but I don't want to get catcalled, but I do want people to see my ass. You know what I mean? Like there's a subtle difference. Yeah. So I get back on the apps. I think this was around the time of Tinder, but I had an Android and I think it was harder to use Tinder. I don't know what it was. I was still mostly on OkCupid. I don't know if that just means I'm boring or whatever. And I'm messaging a few people. There's one person who I'm messaging and she has, I'm gay also. So I was messaging.
Wait, what? You're gay?
Yeah, oh yeah. No one can see this ugly sweater. Yeah, I'm gay. So I'm messaging women on these apps, right? There was one woman who had like locks, and at the time I had locks, or short locks, looked pretty cute. She seemed like kind of tomboyish butch. I'm into that. She also mentioned in her handle an artist I liked. It was like the artist is Fela Kuti. He's a Nigerian artist. I forgot exactly what her handle was, but we're messaging and she's like, "Oh, you like Fela Kuti?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I love Fela Kuti." And like blah blah blah. You know how you message on OkCupid.
I do not. I was really bad at that stuff. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I don't know how I lucked out. Like I don't know how I'm not murdered from meeting people on dating. Like I have really had amazing luck, honestly.
I'll be honest with you. Like when I used to use the OkCupid and do all that stuff, I was more concerned with like coming across as creepy. So like I would say weird, awkward things unintentionally. Like I'd be like, "Hey, we should meet up, but let's go to your third favorite bar." And women would be like, "Why my third favorite bar, not my favorite?" And I'd be like, "So if this doesn't work out, it's not creepy if I like the bar too."
No, but honest, like I get why women may be like, "What?" But like, it's good that you were thinking about that, because sometimes women meet someone on an app and they go to their favorite bar and then the bar is ruined because that person shows up and they were a huge creep. So like, it's understandable that you're like, "Let's meet at your third favorite bar." Sometimes dudes are like, "Let's meet at your house." And you're like, "I don't want you to know where I live.
Right.
I don't know who you are." So bar is always good. In this situation, I also said, "Let's meet at a bar." Right. So we met at a bar that was like pretty close to my apartment at that time. And she kind of like, she dressed like a teen boy. I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay.
She had like the really long sleeves, and I'm not, sometimes you want to dress like a teen boy, but I would think on a first date, you try to do a little finesse. Like I did my makeup. I was wearing like a little jean jacket, like nice shorts. Yeah. And she dressed like a teen boy, which I think no one's really into. And we're talking during the date, and I think she's like, okay. She like mentioned that she was like high, which is like fine. I'm not upset, but I don't know. I guess for like first date, I'm like, "Oh, like you want to like try to come like sober or whatever." But we like go to a park and she smokes me up, and I'm like, okay. I'm in like a stage where I am trying to date around, but I'm also like, "Oh, like maybe I should give this person another chance, even if we didn't really like click. Right. So we're messaging on the app. She invites me to a second date. She's like, "We could go to this sushi place that's really popular." There was also outdoor seating. It's like early September, so the weather's still nice. I'm like, sure. I park my car like right outside the restaurant. We're eating sushi, and I'm like, okay, like I guess this goes like well, it's fine. We're talking, whatever. And then she says, "Oh, is that your car?" Like I'm facing away from my car and she's facing towards it, and she's like, "Oh, is that your car?" I turn around and my car is being towed.
No.
My car is being towed. I am wearing flats. This was a point in my life where flats were still fine. I'm wearing flats and I run after my car and I just shout, "No!" And like I run after my car, but of course I'm running in flats, so it doesn't, right?
If anything, I would think the flats are more efficient for running than heels.
Oh, I mean, they are more efficient than heels, but like ideally you want sneakers. I had flats and they were just flopping around on my feet. Everyone saw me just shout like, "No!" as like my car was dragged away. There was a few women sitting at the table, I think next to me and my date. And they were like, "Oh no, what happened? Your car was towed." And I was like, "Yeah, I honestly don't know why. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why my car was towed." So obviously that puts a damper on the date, right? Obviously not in a good mood. But my date is trying to cheer me up. We had like sushi. I think we had a bottle of sake, and I like finished the sake, and I'm like, okay, I need to like try to find my car. And she's like, I'll go with you, like trying to be like an appropriate stud, right? So we get my car. Luckily, like the towing place was within walking distance, so that was very lucky. We get my car. And I'm like trying to figure out what happened, like why it was towed. And I like asked the towing lady, like, why was my car towed? And they were like, oh, you haven't paid like the motor vehicle tax on your car. And I was like, what? I didn't even know. So in Connecticut, you have to pay taxes on the vehicle you owe because Connecticut's just the worst state. But I was like, I didn't receive a notice or a letter or an email. I didn't receive anything. Like how did this happen? And what I realized, like she looked up my information online. And what I realized is that when I first moved to Connecticut over a year prior, they mistook a 5 I wrote for an S. So all of my bills for my car were like being sent to another address. And that ultimately caused me to have an awful second date with this person who dressed like a teenage boy, right? Like this person I already wasn't really feeling. So I was just like mad, obviously, and I was ranting. When I get mad about something, I do get in a ranty mood. So I'm just like, oh, this is so messed up. I'm so mad, like whatever. And my like date was very nice and appropriate. And like you was like, oh, I'm sorry. That's like some bull, blah, blah, blah. But I was just mad. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm like in the headspace to like see how this date is going. But she was supportive. So I was like, okay. We got my car back and she was like, hey, do you want to smoke? And I was like, yeah, you know what? Because I am mad.
Right.
So we go back to her place, which is like just in the next town over. It's not that far. And I am the type of person where I'm not always the most comfortable with new people smoking weed, but I was like, she's giving me free weed. So we're smoking, we're just talking, and I could tell the conversation is a little stilted. I do feel like I'm pretty good at conversation, but was like kind of hesitant. She was like, oh, so like, what do you like? What shows do you watch? And it's like, TV, you know, like I watch Teen Mom. Like the right answer would be like Teen Mom and Catfish, but you don't want to reveal all that much on a second date. Right. And then one point she looks up at me and she's like, have you heard of memes? As a serious question.
Hold on. Was she significantly younger than you?
No, she was maybe like 2 years older than me. And
that makes sense.
But I mean, in 2015, like memes had been known for like at least 6 years.
Maybe she was still trying to figure out how to unlock her phone. I don't know.
But she was like, have you seen memes? Like there's some pretty good memes out there. And I was like, what the like?
Did she pronounce it memes?
No, she didn't. Luckily, she did not. But I was like, you really said memes. Like, you really asked me if I've seen memes. Me, a perpetually logged on person. You're asking me if I've seen memes. And she was like, the way she talked about memes was like, yeah, there's some pretty good memes out there. And it's like, yes, I've been on the internet. Like, I've been on Facebook pages. So I was like, okay, I do not have chemistry with this girl. And after some point, I'm like, oh, I'll guess I'll go. I like had a really nice time. Sorry about my car, you know. And I leave, and that's the last I see her. And I think basically what I should not have done is like go on a second date with this person where my car was towed. I feel like the evening just kind of like nosedived.
Hold on, we'll get back into this because I'll give you an opportunity to retell this entire story. So let's back up here because I have questions for you.
Okay, go ahead.
First and foremost, so you went on this first date, right?
Yeah.
You said it didn't go that great, but what specifically made the date like go sour in the first one?
I'm just remembering this. This is going to make me seem like a worse person. She said some anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Oh, I see.
I forgot exactly what they were, but I think it was the general, like, Jewish people are, like, controlling the media. And she said this by the time I was high. So like my responses were all like of course in my brain I was like, that's wrong. But like the next step was like, how do I push back against this in a first date scenario? Like what is going? Yeah. And then I remember I had the very clear thought of like, I do not like this person enough to push back against this. And I'm just going to ignore her and not talk to her. And then I spoke to her again. And then my car got towed. Like, why did I do that? I don't know.
See, it's the universe calling you out. And you know what's funny?
Basically.
You know what's funny? I think I know you well enough that if she had said the N-word, you'd have been like, nope, we're done.
She was also black. She was, so, yeah.
Oh, see, there I go for assuming. See, y'all caught me, right? Y'all caught me slipping.
It's okay. It's okay. Like this, she was black. I remember this was a time where I was like, I will date people of color. So I like, so I went on a date with her, one person that I actually dated for a while, and then another person it was someone who I later became friends with. But yeah, so like, I think she did say the N-word, but she was black, so fine.
So it was allowable.
Yeah, when I said she had short locks, I would not date a white person with dreads. Just so you know, if you're white and you have dreads, I guess you could keep doing that. I'm not going to date you. Like, just know that off the bat. They're probably kind of dirty. Maybe do another hairstyle. But when I said she had short locks, I meant she is a black person.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think this means that I have to give my minority card back, because when you said short locks, I thought you meant like short curly hair.
Oh, sorry. No. I meant like dreadlocks.
Dreads. Yeah, no.
Dreads. Yeah.
I see that now.
I say locks because my mom had them, and she was like, don't call them dreads, because Dutch people saw people with dreadlocks in like the 1500s, and they called them dreads because they were like, it looked so dreadful, and we should call them locks instead. And that's like not the actual history behind the word, but I'm so used to calling them locks now.
Got it. No. And I've heard that terminology, so I fully acknowledge that I was in the wrong.
No, you weren't in the wrong. It's just a mix up terminology. That's fine.
I don't know. I'm embarrassed as a person of color. Okay. So hold on. So you're on this date, you're ranting, you're like in a bad mood. While
still trying to look cute. That's the hardest thing. Like I'm like, yo, this is so dumb, blah, blah, blah. And I'm still trying to look cute, trying not to sweat out my hair or like, you know, like,
yeah.
Like I'm not like when I get frustrated, I don't cry. But if I did, my mascara would have been running. That's hard. It's hard to look cute while your car gets randomly towed.
So hold on. So you're on this date, right? You're sitting there with this woman. You're, you're hanging out, you're chilling out, you're smoking. She's smoking you up, rather.
Yeah.
Outside of the memes thing, what else went wrong?
She just wasn't charismatic, really. This is telling people what they have to do to get my attention, basically. But she wasn't really charismatic. Might be a little judgmental of me, and I think this is why I went on a second date, because I was like, am I being judgmental just unnecessarily? She like was like, yeah, I work at like Burlington Coat Factory as like a worker and like or like a cashier, and like my boss is always tripping, and like, you know, I like go out back to like smoke. I smoke in the back, and then I come back and I come back and like my boss tells me to like do things, but I don't feel like doing it. And I was like, I mean, like we all have like shitty jobs. I'm not going to judge you for that, but it's like your boss probably kind of wants you to try at your job, or like,
yeah.
Like it didn't seem like she really had like a plan to like not have her job. She was like, oh, I'm just going to go south and buy some land and farm. But it didn't seem like, which is like great if you like make steps to do that, but it didn't really seem like she was making steps. And then like, I guess her style wasn't like, entrancing. And then she also said the weird anti-Semitic stuff where I was like,
yeah.
Which should have been the first sign. Just like,
what if she was nervous and like she was just kind of like saying stuff? Also, I don't know. Let me say this. You're a very intelligent woman. I'm not gonna out you. I'm not gonna out you and say where. So but that's your business if you want to say that. But you also went to a very good school.
Allegedly.
No, you went to... Look, scratch that. Hear me now. I won't tell you where, but she went to a great school. But
it's in Connecticut.
I'll let y'all figure it out. But it is a great school. Anywho. So you could just be a little intimidating to talk to. Maybe she was just nervous and just blurting stuff out.
Maybe. I don't think I say where I go to college usually on like...
Okay.
Dates.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I mentioned... I try to be... I mean... Of course, like, no matter how down to earth you try to be, you could still come off as intimidating. But I tried to be kind of down to earth and, like, talk about things that, like, I thought we would have in common and, like, but yeah, I just wasn't feeling the vibe. And I mean, if you say anti-Semitic stuff when you're nervous, that's also a red flag. Like, why not just say like goofy stuff? Why go into like, yeah, the Jews, they control the money, but that's why I'm moving stuff. Like, what? It was weird.
Look, I wasn't even referring to that. I was more referring to the meme stuff. Like, you know, when like,
I mean, yeah.
Do you meme? Have you ever read a meme? I'm nervous. Have you? Meme?
Yeah, I guess like it's also like I understand if people are nervous, and it did seem like she was like a little nervous, but I feel like I'm usually pretty good at providing the other person enough like social lubricant to like keep a conversation going. But she still went at like, oh, have you heard of memes? And after that date, I told everyone what happened. I was like, my car got towed, and then my date asked me if I heard of memes. Me, the person who's been online so long, they asked me if I've heard of memes, and and then my friends laughed at me.
That was the deeply offensive part. It felt like an attack on your soul, didn't it?
I was a meme for a little bit.
Never mind. I was thinking of a different person.
Oh, no, I was a unamused black girl, which, like, I don't know if it's like that picture of me is literally 10 years old. I look very different now.
That's a thing?
Yeah, let me see if I could find, again, it's like 10 years old, but there was a picture, there was like memes I would make. Oh yeah, it's my first face. Oh, wow. Wow, it was on Quick Meme. Yeah, there's a picture of me online that people tried to meme. I took it at my college, old college dorm room, and I think it was like 9 or 10 years.
Oh, is that you?
Yes, that's me. Like I said, I look different. I had longer hair. I was like more feminine presenting back then. It is me. It is me. I could probably make that face. Wait, let me try. Did that work?
Close enough.
Okay. I mean, I've obviously gained weight because I'm no longer like 20, but.
Right. No, I mean, I couldn't tell. You look exactly the same, minus the hair. But
yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's good to know. I still have my youthful face.
Oh no, of course. So let's jump back into this because I want to make sure we get this in so quickly.
Okay.
If you could retell the story, how would you change it? Like, how would it be different?
I would probably not have gone on that second date and gone. I mean, there's so many places I could have changed things. First one is I would have loved to write have a 5 be recognizable so that on my address so that the bills were sent. But, you know, you can't change everything. Then I would have liked to probably not go on a second date. I could have had my car towed in the privacy of my own home or among friends I was closest with, friends that could have comforted me a little bit more. But yeah, you don't have to go on a date with someone that you think is boring. That's the biggest thing. And it's taken me a while to learn that. But you do not have to go on a date with someone you think is not interesting, who dresses like a teen and says anti-Semitic stuff.
I think you're very lucky that that the place was even open for you to get your car back, because I feel like a lot of those places close super early. That's why I had to wait a night. Yeah.
I think we had met at 6, so it wasn't too late by the time we got there. Luckily, it was still open, and the people who work at towing places, they always are so upset with you, and it's you're the one who towed my car.
Right.
you are the customer service representative for the people who towed my car. So she was like, oh, like, where's your like license? I was like, it's in my car that you towed. I was not expecting my car to get towed. But yeah, I was lucky. It could have gone worse. Like I said, I could have gotten killed.
Yeah.
Meeting someone online. Who knows?
Well, if it makes you feel better, I met my fiance online, so it works out
Oh,
sometimes.
that's so nice. Yeah, that is good.
Shout out to Bumble.
Bumble. Okay, I've never been on Bumble.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it was nice for me because women have to reach out to me.
Yes. That's what I heard is like interesting about it.
So, I mean, that was pretty cool. Let me ask you this, and this might take us down a rabbit hole, but I'm gonna bring it up. We're gonna address it.
Let's do it.
There have been examples of within the Black community where there have been anti-Semitic ideas shared. The most recent one that stands out to me in my head was Nick Cannon getting in trouble for anti-Semitic comments. Where do you think that stems from, and like why is it that this seems to be prevalent within the Black community?
Yeah, wow, that is such a deep question for the silly story, but that is a good question. I think we all, not to be like we live in a society, but we all live in a society that is white supremacist and like anti-Semitic, and I think like I don't think like the Black community is somehow unique in that. Like,
right,
a lot of what Republicans say is also like anti-Semitic. Like if you listen to anything QAnon, whenever they say George Soros or like blood, like they say a lot of things that it's a dog whistle for it. But I think sometimes like if and this is kind of true for it's not like exclusively true for New Haven, but I think sometimes people have experiences with Jewish people in their specific locale as like a landlord. So like obviously not all Jewish people are landlords. In most places, like your landlord is going to be a white person regardless of like religion or whatever. But like in New York, I think this came up with Jay-Z. In New York, like in I think like Brooklyn, where Jay-Z lived, it happened to be that a lot of the landlords in this particular place in Brooklyn were Jewish. And it's like you could kind of like, because it's not like no Jewish person is ever like anti-Black, but like, like a lot of people are anti-Black. It's not specific to Jewish people. So like he had that like one lyric in a song where he like pointed out that specific relationship in New York, but kind of like extrapolated it and was like, yeah, Jewish people own all the banks. And like, that is not true. Like like you could look at statistics. It's not true. Yeah, I guess it's like, and I know this conversation is coming up also in regards to like anti-Asian racism. And like, yeah, there's been, I think with the Asian community and the Jewish community, there's been moments of like turmoil between the Jewish and Black community. And then there's also been moments of like a lot of solidarity. Like a lot of the lawyers for civil rights people or like civil rights activists were Jewish, and Jewish people who are like, this is messed up. Segregation is messed up. I have like this knowledge of the law and I'm going to use it to support you. So, I mean, just painting everyone in a broad stroke is hard. And I think a lot of times when people do say like Jewish people rule the world, there's another group of people, it's rich people. Like, and not all rich people are like, Bill Gates isn't Jewish. Like any I don't think we've had a Jewish US president. Most of them are rich. So there's like, you just want to like get into a better critique. But I think sometimes it is easier for people to kind of like just reach for easy critique. And it's easy to blame one group of people for everything. And then Jewish people have been blamed for random stuff for like literally thousands of years. So,
and let me apologize in advance because I know that was not a question that you were anticipating, but
it's okay.
It came up, and that
is questions we handle on Not Another White Man's podcast, which you can listen to wherever podcasts are available. So it's fine.
All right, perfect. So before I let you go, we have two traditions on this podcast.
Cool.
The first is we ask people to please share an organization or a charity or a cause that they're particularly passionate about. Do you have one for us?
Yes, I do. So there is Black in Pink Massachusetts. Like I said, I live in Boston now. Black in Pink Massachusetts is a volunteer-fueled organization working for the abolition of the criminal punishment system, which disproportionately impacts lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people, as well as those living with HIV. So they do a lot of like cool stuff. They have a pen, a letter writing program for those who are incarcerated. They also host a lot of events supporting the rights of those who are incarcerated. There has been a lot of discussion about, especially since like kind of defund the police and like kind of that rhetoric's come about in different years. There's been a lot of discussion about people in who are imprisoned or incarcerated, and it's just not great. It's not well, and like there's also a lot of people who are in jail because they weren't able to like pay bail or something, or like. I mean, it's kind of like a situation similar to yours, Juan Carlos, where like they might not have been able to afford to like get their car out, or like they might not have been able to afford a parking ticket. And then like all that increases. And then next thing they know, they're like in jail and not able to post bail. So or prison. I mean, I know jail and prison is different.
Right.
Yeah, but it's so basically this organization just supports LGBTQ people who are incarcerated in different ways. I think it's really cool. So yeah, definitely check them out and donate if you can.
Thank you for informing and teaching the revisionaries about this cause, because I had never heard of it before. So I'm glad that you were willing to share that with us.
Yeah, there is a national chapter, but in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts chapter kind of like broke off. And also with COVID-19, like jails have very high rates of COVID-19 because or prisons. I keep confusing.
Right.
But like any space where there's a lot of people in one place is going to have high rates of COVID-19. So that is also a huge issue that is coming up.
So the second tradition that we have on this podcast, and I don't mean to pivot, hopefully this is a little bit lighter.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Is we like to ask our guests to please share a quick childhood story that puts a smile on their face, or like just, generally makes them feel warm inside. Like the first one that comes to mind.
There's childhood stories I think are funny and may not be cute. This one I think is funny. So I had a CD player when I was younger, and there were like different size CDs. So this was when I was like 2 or 3, and there were different size CDs. And I wanted to know what would happen if you put all the CDs in at once and played it. And I did that, and it made an awful sound. My mom was like, Kendra, do not do that again. Like that was like one of the first times where she looked at me and was just like, without explanation, do not do that. There were other things. I think once I like picked my nose and ate a booger, and she did the same thing. But that was one thing where one of my strongest memories was like, I wonder what happens when I do this. And then the answer was an awful noise. Something bad happens.
All right. I don't know why. I normally don't do this, but you make me feel like I want to share. Like you.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah.
So it's also CD player related.
RIP CDs.
Right. Coincidentally, I remember I went to a charter school, and at the end of every year we used to go on like a school trip. So in 5th grade we went to DC for like a week. 6th grade Utah, I didn't go. 7th grade we went to Boston. 8th grade we went to California for 14 days, which was awesome. Anyway,
that does sound awesome.
So we're heading up to Boston. We're on the bus. CD players are a big deal. And I had one CD that I used to play on repeat over and over and over again, which was Will 2K by the great Will Smith. And I heard the song so often that I had memorized it like in its entirety. And I remember there was this one particular song that like I was on the bus like playing, so I like put it in and I started rapping along, and my history teacher thought it'd be funny to like tell everyone to go shh, thinking that I couldn't see him. So all of a sudden, as I'm like mid rapping this song, the whole bus goes quiet to like watch me with like my headphones on, just rapping along to Will Smith. I crushed it, by the way. But
Nice.
people were like, "Is he freestyling?"
They really thought you were freestyling?
Yeah, because it was like not a popular song, you know what I mean? But I was like hitting like every bar and every word, you know what I'm saying? Like I was really vibing. Cause I don't know, I was a weird kid.
Where are we all? Also, like Will Smith, he was fun when you're a preteen. He was a good guy. I get it.
Yeah, I remember that song. There's a song he wrote called Potnas, Potnas. Look it up. It's a fine song. But I used to like just rap it in my little room. I was like, I don't know, 12 years old, maybe, and I had to like try to dedicate it to all the girls I had crushes on.
Aw. That's so cute.
I would practice in my room for hours. Like, yeah, when I finally get a girlfriend, I'm gonna sing her this song. You know what I mean?
Man, there's a few embarrassing videos of me on someone's Facebook wall of me like singing them songs over college break, like someone I was romantically involved with.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that person deleted her Facebook because now those songs don't exist. That's the important part.
It's fine. Mark and I are on first name basis. I'll give him a call and get those back.
Oh, okay. You'll pull it up.
Yeah.
God,
Anywho, don't let me hold you too much longer. Thank you so much for coming on the Revisionary podcast.
Thank you for having me. I hope the story was entertaining. It's one of those things where it's like a small everyday happening, but in the moment you just feel so upset about it. So upset.
Do you have any last words for our revisionaries?
Thank you for listening. I already plugged all my stuff. And let's fight against anti-Semitism together.
Yeah. And where can they follow you?
Oh, you could follow me at bossy_Dawsey on Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And just enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
The Revisionary Podcast.
I'm just going to say it here. I think Kendra tells a good story. I enjoyed chatting with her. I mean, it's really that simple. There's nothing else to say. I want to say thank you to Kendra for stopping by. And, for those of you guys who are listening out there, like I said, keep hitting me up on the socials. You know, I like it when you guys hit me up. And I actually love discussing episodes. That's one of my favorite things when you guys DM me talking about your favorite episodes and stuff like that. So make sure, you follow us on Instagram, Revisionary Podcast, or follow me directly, Juan Carlos Comedy. And feel free to DM me and let's talk about these episodes because I really enjoy having these conversations with you guys. And without further ado, as I always like to say to my revisionaries out there, thank you for listening.
This is the Revision.